What's up? What's up? This is Coach Smith, man. I know it's been a minute since Coach Smith has been live on his channel. Love the game 24/7. I've been working my college football summer camps with offense, defense, as you can see here. Um, and so I just want to thank you guys for who are joining me this evening briefly. I won't be long. Let me just rotate my phone here to get out of some of that light. I'm in my hotel room in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, um, doing my last offense defense football camp for the summer. We've been out here working hard, developing young talent, and we've seen some very good young talent here at the offense defense camps in the Charlotte area, the Raleigh area, Atlanta, here in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. Seen some real good young talent. Um, I definitely have seen some kids who have what it takes to play at the next level, um, um, even at various ages. You know, you can sometimes just pick up on how well some of these kids pick up playing the game. And so it's been exciting. It's been fun working with offense, defense this summer. Love the game 24/7. Joining up with offense, defense. I look forward to hopefully doing some more in the future with offense, defense. But I just want to just give you guys an update, man, because yeah, it's been a good little a few weeks here, and I'll be posting some videos um, of the summer football camps. I'll get some of that stuff out as soon as I can, as soon as I get settled. Hello, Nicole. Appreciate you guys. But first and foremost, I just want to just make sure I let you guys know, please, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you get notified when Coach Smith is going live on his YouTube, so you can get up to date information about what's going on in college recruiting world of sports. And I appreciate you, Nicole Horizon, for jumping on here. But yeah, like I said, help me reach my 1,000 subscribers. I'm well over 600, and I'm getting to that point. But I'm all about trying to make sure that you young athletes are well informed, right? You need to be well informed about the college recruiting process. And like I said, I've been doing my summer football camps all summer. You were at my last football camp? Cool, that's right. In Atlanta, that's where I was last time. And so I want to just say hi to everybody. And like I said, yep, please help me grow this channel, grow this information. There's a lot of things that have been happening. A lot of people have been reaching out and contacting me and whatnot. And so it's all about me and getting ahead of this thing. There's a lot going on in college sports, right? And definitely with NIL opportunities and all those great things that are happening in college sports, which I know is not going to take away from the game, right? Because those things have always been going on. It's just people are more aware, and it's more public knowledge now than it was in the past, right? Because some of that stuff was just kept on the down low, on the hush hush, and only those who were probably playing the game that I had friends who played and shared things that were happening at their institution, and I don't think it was anything wrong with it. Anything you can do to help encourage young athletes to um, play the game, right? College, and get them to come to your institution and make your program better. Um, yep, I remember the brothers. Yep, Nicole Horizon. I remember the two brothers. Yeah, your brother did. You had a brother that's going into his senior year. That's right. Um, so definitely, share about how you like it. Hello, YT Zack Attack 10. Appreciate you joining me. And I appreciate you subscribing and liking my video. And be sure you share it with other folks. Because like I said, I want to help you guys, reach your success, get your education paid for, have some opportunities, man, to really enjoy this game and what it has to offer and where it can take you, and the relationships you will find and build with playing, just sports in general, right? Um, and hey, Mr. Glenn, yep, I remember Aiden. Yep, absolutely. Aiden was one of our top prospects that I feel that has what it takes to go play at the next level, and and definitely had the pleasure of coaching him at the Winthrop University camp. And so, like I said, I've been on this tour with offense, defense. It's been great. Be sure if you want to get to any of my social media platforms, just go to lovethegame247.com. Be sure you go out there. I'll be giving some information because once I slow down from doing the summer football camps, I'm going to be doing a free webinar, right? And then I'm going to share some more things that are going to come from that free webinar that you want to be sure you don't miss out on that I'm going to be offering with Love the Game 24/7, right? There's some personal training that I'll be doing. I'm going to be eventually um, relocating and different things of that nature. And but I got things in place with other good friends of mine that I played college ball with. That's been working with me. Some have been working with me with Love the Game 24/7 doing my camp, and also with offense defense doing my camp. And so there're going to be a lot more things happening that I will be able to offer and help you not just during the summer off season, but also during the season that a lot of people need to have some clarity on, especially how you lift weights properly, how your lifting should go during the off season and during the when you're in season. And you'll get some of that too from your high school and your middle school coaches, of course. But there's still some people still need to know there's a proper way to lift to get the results that you want to have in whatever sport you play, right? That you want to hopefully pursue a college scholarship for, athletic scholarship for, to pay for your education. Okay, and so you just need to know that. And as I've always said, recruiting is the same no matter what sport you're playing or participating in that can help you get a scholarship to help you pay for your education, right? And just know that in these camps, I always share with the parents and with the athletes of my experience of having the blessing of playing at every level and following an older brother who had the blessing of playing at every level, and also having the blessing of having one of my sons who pursued it as well, and had the blessing of playing at every level. And I've coached for quite a many years, over a decade, coaching football, and I've been around it for as long as I can remember, since I've been 7 years old. So, and there are people that I work with. My plan is to get my son and some of his former college and some of his pro teammates and friends, involved with some things that I'm doing, so they can help encourage and give you parents and young athletes some great advice. So there are a lot of things that are going to be coming with Love the Game 24/7. All right, and Coach Smith. So just be sure, like I said, look out for the summer free webinar that I'll be putting out on my website, lovethegame247.com, because you're going to register, and space is going to be limited, guys, and you don't want to miss what's coming up with Coach Smith and some things to help you become that better athlete, right? And learning how to market yourself better in whatever sport it is, but also those who are involved with football and track and field. Those are two sports that I know very well and I participated in well at a high level. Okay, and so, but what I'm giving out information I'll be sharing is good for any athlete, male or female. We want to help you guys reach your dream and your goal of getting at the next level. But like I said, one thing I just tell parents, trust us as coaches. Okay, trust us in when we're saying what your young person, especially when it comes to this game of football, you know, um, your position may, I know you may have your heart set on a certain position. Some of you kids are, that I've seen, there's some kids that have can play various positions, and I shared, a story with some young athletes I think it was at my Atlanta camp, of a young man I had the blessing of coaching. He's playing some pro ball. He was drafted in like the fourth or fifth round. He came out of the SEC, but I had the blessing of being able to coach him on varsity as a ninth through 11th grader. But then he transferred to another school because he wanted to graduate early, because the school where I was at, they didn't allow you to graduate early, and and he had every right to transfer, but he grew his talent. He came to us as a ninth grader, as a pretty talented ninth grader. He had his heart set on, oh, I want to be a wide receiver, I want to be a DB. But the coaches, even those coaches who were more experienced than I was, told him, no, you're probably going to be an outside linebacker. But hey, in high school, hey, we're going to let you play wide receiver, fulfill your dream of being a wide receiver, because we needed his size and speed for his size at such a young age, in 10th and 11th grade. How he just excelled. But he played DN as a freshman for us because of his size and because the kid loved the game, right? He was very coachable, right? And he wanted to learn. And there were some things he did need to learn about the game. But when it came to his athletic ability, you can't teach athletic ability, right? But you can teach them how to play and how to use that athletic ability, to help them secure, themselves a scholarship. But you can't teach athletic ability. That's just a gift and talent that God blessed you with, right? And so, and there are some things that you're going to have to work on because you can see it in some kids, but and I've seen it at these camps I've been doing, but you got to put work in. You can have all the ability in the world, but if you don't hone those skills, if you don't get yourself in the weight room to get bigger and stronger and faster and build up your core, that athletic talent is just going to be on the surface and it won't be able to go deeper into um, your skills, to pull out if you don't put the work in. And so, we had the blessing of coaching this young man, but hey, he wanted to transfer. He did, so he could graduate early. It worked out for him, so he could start in January and get ahead of the program at that school where he decided to go play his college years in the SEC. And guess what? He became an outside linebacker, like we said, and was drafted as an outside linebacker, right? But when you're young, hey, you can play some other sports, but you definitely better play that position where a lot of coaches are seeing because of your size and your frame, and those different things. You know, there's a position in, especially the game of football with 22 positions on offense, 11 on offense and 11 on defense, right? And then you have some special teams, of course. So you're talking, 33. But definitely, when it comes to being on the offense and defense side of the ball, for every shape and size of a athlete, there's a position on the football field and skill set. And so, someone who's been around the game like I have, as long as I have, and learned from people, right, who've been around the game longer than me, and listening to them and learning from them and what they look at and what you should be looking at, and just soaking that information up from others. Because one thing, because I love this game, when I get around those who are older than me and have been around the game longer than I have and been coaching much longer than I have, I'm always, all ears in hearing what they're saying and what they're trying to teach and explain. Okay. I'm always, about that and for that, and learn from that and use that information and take that information, to help you younger athletes and help with you parents. But like I said, there are going to be times, like I've seen at these camps, there's some parents, hey, they're just, oh, my kid is this and my kid is that, and it's tough. If you haven't played the game, it's tough. And sometimes, but you just got to be sure, it's no slight against you because you may have not have played the game at a high level or played it beyond high school. It doesn't mean you don't know anything about it. But you definitely have to respect the fact that coaches who have had the blessing of coaching young men, whether they played at that level, but they've sent a lot of kids to college and they got kids playing at the pro level, right? And they put their time in studying other coaches and they just been around the game for a long time. There are people those are the people you really need to listen to, and that's going to be able to tell you what position your kid probably is going to be playing at the college level, and it's okay. It's no big deal. Like I said, I got recruited to Central Florida when I was coming out of high school. That offered me, and they wanted me to come. It didn't matter what my head coach was doing or not. That the coach that was coaching me or recruiting me out of UCF, I don't even know if he ever even talked to my high school coach. He just spoke to me and said, "Hey, you got an offer as a defensive back to come to UCF because we want you as a DB." And I didn't play much DB. I was a starting running back. I didn't play much defensive back at all, But I did, put some time in as a backup and giving guys a break sometimes when they needed it, but or when they needed some more speed on the field, I would go out there and play sometimes. But I was strictly the starting running back when I was in high school, my junior senior year. So and didn't play a whole lot of DB. But like some coaches say, they can see I knew I could play it if I wanted to play it. But that's not where my heart was set on, and I knew I had the skills, and I showed that I had the skills to be a running back at the college level. Um, and so I didn't take that scholarship offer at Central Florida. I don't regret it because they wanted me to play a different position. But I had the blessing in my freshman year in college because Coach Jim Levitt, who started the football program at University of South Florida, who recruited my one older brother, just ahead of me, and then recruited me as well. Um, you know, um, that's who helped me, um, you know, that why I decided to go to Morningside where he was with my brother, because they wanted me as a running back. And I just said, hey, I'm gonna, since I didn't get the opportunity to go play D1 like I had hoped and dreamed to do, I took that D2 offer to go play with my brother and to play for Coach Levitt. And he said, hey, no, we're gonna give you every opportunity to play running back, because that we know that's your position, that's what you're best at. You know, they didn't try to put me somewhere else. And I excelled at running back in my 4 years at college, and had some great coaches, and I'm glad that I stuck with that. But like I said, in my freshman year, Coach Lovett had a game scheduled for us to play University of Central Florida, and so and I had the opportunity to really show out against them and to show why they should have offered me as a running back. And so, and the coach who recruited me at Central Florida tried to use that as part of a way to recruit me to come to UCF, and like say, hey, you can play against your brother in college and whatnot. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but I practice and play against him every day, so that didn't really get me all excited, because he's the one that helped develop me, my older brother. So in playing the game, and so, but when I had that opportunity to show Central Florida when I played against them my freshman year in college, I had the blessing of having that coach who recruited me at UCF, you know, came and shared after the game. He's like, man, you are running back, and you made a great decision. And Morningside gave you that opportunity, and you ran all over us. I mean, I had almost 100-yard rushing, and I know I had over 100 yards receiving. So I had a great all-purpose game. I was an all-purpose running back, and I showed what I was about, right? And I was going to show them what it was about, what I was all about, because I wanted to let them know you didn't recruit me. You should have recruited me as a running back. And I may have gone to UCF if they would have recruited me as a running back and was serious about doing that. I probably would have gone there and not Morningside, because UCF after my freshman year when we played them, they transitioned to Division I. They left NCAA Division II and moved up. That was the start of UCF becoming a Division I school after my freshman year. That was in so my freshman year was 87, 88 at Morningside. So that was in 88, 89 when UCF transitioned to Division I. And so, but I probably would have gone there if they would have said, no, we want you as an all-purpose running back. But I proved and showed them when I had the opportunity, and that's what we want to help coach and help you kids. You guys at some of these camps and kids out, I've trained and spoken to, that you got to have that mentality and mindset, man, of proving, right? But you got to put in the work, right? I didn't just go out there proving that without putting in work. I put in work. I got in the weight room, right? I got on the track. I got on the football field, training and doing things with, teammates and friends and all those things. I put the work in, right? I was in the gym. I love lifting weights and getting stronger and building up my core, building up my legs, my upper body, because I wasn't tall, right? I was just shy of 5'10". I'm like around 5'9" and a half, so I'm just shy of 5'10". So I had to strengthen my strengths, right? Because there was nothing I can do. I couldn't make myself be 6 feet taller, right? So you gotta, as I'm sharing with these young men at the summer camps that we're doing right now, that you gotta get in the gym, you gotta work out, right? There's not going to be, even though you love this game, there's going to be things about the game that you're not going to love, but you're going to do it because you know it's what's best for you, and it's what's going to help you fulfill your dream and your goal of getting that athletic scholarship. Okay, and that's what I talk to the parents about. That's what I kind of share when I introduce myself and my other coaches, that we're there to help. Just share some valuable information and share with you those young athletes about how to, you know, hey, you got to be a different person on that football field than you are when you're off the football field. When you go in and pursue your training and working out, you got to have that mindset of, I got to put this work in, right? Because even there are many times I got up early in the morning when I didn't feel like getting up in the morning to go do that. But once I got there and started putting that work in and start seeing the results, right, it made it easier. But I had those times where, man, it was tough. Like, man, I don't feel like getting up this morning. And there may have been a few times where I didn't. And I went late in the afternoon or later that evening, right? But most times I got up and went and did and put in that work that I need to put in. Most times I did, because I had other friends that would call or come pick you. Hey, we're picking you up, blah blah blah, whatever. Vice versa, I was doing that for them. We were encouraging and pushing each other. And you got to get around some other athletes, some other teammates, and you guys are going to make that commitment to push each other. right? But once you get in that gym and you start lifting weights and you see the results, that man, I'm getting stronger, right? I'm getting bigger, I'm getting faster, right? I'm getting better at this game, right? Because I'm putting the training in, I'm putting the work in, and you're going to see results, right? You will get out of the game what you put into the game, right? And that means what you put into the going into the weight room, what you put in, and what you do in the classroom. Because that same energy and effort, you don't always want to fit. You don't always feel like studying, but you know you need to study because you got to play. And if you don't have the good grades to be able to play the game, you're not going to be able to show people what it's all about. You're not going to be able to help your team out. You're letting your team down because you didn't get your grades, and you can't do that, right? You can't let your team down. You can't let your family down. You can't let yourself down. People have invested in you, right? And they deserve to get a return on their investment when they've invested in you and your dream, and they were willing to help you fulfill that your dream opportunity in doing that. And so, man, I'm excited on how some of these camps have gone that we've been doing this summer with offense, defense, and like I said, it's been some great talent. And you just guys out there who've come, if you're listening and you're watching this, even if you're watching this live or if you're watching this later, just keep it up. Just want to encourage you guys. Like I said, I've seen a lot of um, talented young men, young boys out there, man, just committed to coming early in the morning, and it's just been a pleasure. It's been just um, re-energizing me as well as a coach and getting involved with you young people, man, through offense, defense, and so I'm going to be looking at, like I said, possibly some things that I'm going to be uh, doing more with offense, defense, potentially. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, love the game 24/7 with Coach Smith is always going to be uh, uh, doing something, right? And I'm always going to be doing some lives and putting out videos and giving great content and information. And you need to definitely be sure to share, like I said, subscribe, right? Invite people, like the video, all those great things. Help me build this up, right? There are a lot of other great people out there that give content as well. Be sure you vet them and be sure you do your homework. But hey, I ain't knocking nobody. I'm not the only one out here that's doing that. But hey, there are some people like myself that you might feel more comfortable with working with me, or working with, like Coach Derek Tatum out of Georgia. I always push and promote him, or my buddy with Before You Go Pro, BYGP, Before You Go Pro. He's another great person out there giving great content. And I kind of pattern myself from some of those guys because some of them have been doing a little bit longer than me as far as content, not coaching or being involved in the game, but just being live and doing all this stuff on social media. And I'm learning as I go as well. And so, but definitely do your homework. You need to, you know, you need to have a trainer, okay? And your trainer needs to work within the confines of what your high school coaches are doing or what your middle school coaches are doing. We don't ever want to take away from that, okay? Um, and so you got to be careful when you do have a trainer that they're not pushing you, hard during the in season. And those guys who do know what they're talking about won't do that. They'll recognize that you're in your season, and there's certain things when they train and help you, they should just be really working on your technical skills during the season, putting in extra work on working on, running routes, making sure you're catching the ball with your eyes, your DB, footwork, all those different things, right? Those are the type of things you should be doing during the season with your trainer. During the off season, then they can get a little more in depth with pushing you in the weight room in the gym, because off season is where you building muscle mass and strength and all those things like that, and you're in the gym and you're lifting weights, right? Because during the season you don't want to lift during football season like you would uh, you know during the off season, right? And that's for any sport, okay? Because there'll always be some lifting going on in your sport. You're just not going to do it very heavy, right? You're going to have a day where you will go kind of heavy. Probably not, like with football. If I'm playing a game on Friday, right, we may um, go heavy on Monday, or we may do it on Tuesday, right? There's going to be a heavy day and a light day, right? And we may change it up every few weeks, right? We may go heavy during the season one day, and when I say heavy, it won't be a lot of uh, lifting that we're doing, but the lifting that we will do, we may go heavy on a Monday one day and definitely light on a Tuesday, and then we may not do much at all on Wednesday, We're not going to do anything at all. We're going to do it early in the week and not late in the week. And you may do, as a player, you may do a little bit of lifting, but it should be light with a lot of reps, but minimal lifting during the season, because you got to maintain what you worked hard on during the summer that you created and developed, right? And to maintain that during the season. So, because you're always going to lose some weight here and there, and you don't have to lose that much. You can hold some of that weight by the lifting that you do and how you eat properly as well. So we'll get more into those things. But it's been a great summer football camp season, man, and getting involved with Love the Game 24/7 and offense, defense, partnering and working together, doing these summer football camps. And so it's been great. And you guys, like I said, keep up the good work. Have a great season. Definitely just continue to stay encouraged. But like I said, you'll get in what you put in. And if you put in that work on and off the field, right? That same effort you put in your game and trying to do it well is the same effort you need to put in for, getting your studies done, right? Because when you get your studies, are going in the right direction, your game will go in the right direction. It will go, it would be, it will go hand in hand, right? So you really want to, you want to play great football, you know, get some great training going this summer. And when school starts, stay focused on getting your grades and do some great work. And for some guys, man, great work is getting a C, right? Everybody's not an A/B student, but everybody can at least get a C if you put some work in, because most teachers will work with you if they see the effort, right? And if you're giving some effort, I tell, my athletes, I don't want you to be perfect. I want you to be excellent. So, which means you got to learn from your mistakes, because we're all going to make mistakes. I don't want you stressed out trying to be a perfectionist, right? I want you to be excellent, right? Excellent in your technique, because you're putting work in and you made mistakes and you learn how not to make that mistake again. You're excellent, right, in the classroom, right? You learn how not to be lazy and not put the study time in that you should put in to do well in the classroom, right? And so you're going to be excellent at that. So that way you can help your teammates on Friday nights or whatever night you're playing in your sport, right? Basketball, track, whatever it is, baseball, softball, volleyball, right? Be strong, be that strong student athlete, all around athlete. Be that, that leader. Sometimes you might be that leader, don't have to say much. Some of the best leaders are ones that don't say much. They show you. They show you better than they can tell you, right? Those are some of your best leaders. Not the ones who do a lot of talking and want to tell you and explain it, but they're the ones who, hey, they just show you, man. They just show you the hard work. You see them in the gym. They don't say much. They gonna holler at you, dap it up or whatever, but they don't get talking. They get in and get work done. They get in and put the time in, right? And you see them when they play, and you see, oh man, look at so and so, man, how he hit that guy, or how he ran that guy over, or that catch he just made, or that interception he just made. Man, he ran that thing all the way back, man. But when you think back a little bit, you can remember probably on most of those guys. Now, granted, there's some guys that are just talented, but they got to put that work in. And if they don't, it'll diminish, just like anything else. It'll diminish. But you can remember those guys, man, like, oh, I remember seeing him in the gym, man. He's always getting his stuff done, right? He's always getting it done. And, and he's in the classroom, and his grades are always pretty good, right? But like I said, everybody's not an A/B student. And some students, I remember I had a teacher in high school, one of my math teachers, he was tough. And I remember him telling me some of his best students were his C students and his B students, but definitely his C students, because he knows that student had to fight and really study and understand the formulas and all those different things to get that C. And they came in and asked for help. Sometimes he said in most cases his C students could explain it better than the A students, because the A students were going off memory. They really didn't learn it. They just were smart and could remember the steps, but really couldn't explain it to you. But that kid, they had to fight to get that C or maybe that low B in the class, could explain it better than the A student a lot of times. Because there's a lot of A students that go off memory. Not all. There's some A students who are strictly, they're smart and they can explain it to you. But I just remember that math teacher, Mr. Osher. Man, he was one of the best teachers I've ever had. And he broke it down to me and said, Jeff Hall, no, don't worry about it. He was like that one, hey, I want you to be excellent. I don't want you to be perfect, right? And he used to say, look, I used to go to him and ask for help and help. He always tell her, hey, you come in the morning or you come in the afternoon, after school is out and I'll work with you. And he used to have, man, he'd have class full of kids. And because everybody loved Mr. Ocean, man, he was such a good teacher and he was patient. And so I just remember that has stuck with me all these years in high school. And I think I was in like 10th grade when I had him like geometry and algebra and all that stuff. Man, I had him from pretty much all my math courses. And his thing was don't try to remember the steps. Understand why you're doing this step. And when you understand that why you have to take this step, and he would say, just like you do in football, there's certain techniques and certain steps that you have to take, right, to be successful as a running back or to be successful as a receiver or this or that. He said, just like you have to take those steps. And if you don't take those steps and follow the technique for your position in football, you're not going to be successful, right? And so he would say, so the same thing with this math, you got to look at it the same way. Understand why you're taking this step. Understand why you can't do the addition part or whatever before the mathematical part before this in this particular math that we're doing, that we're working on, right? It's some steps, and you got to understand why. Because if you miss this step, you're not going to get the answer. You might be close, but he said once you get that down and learn the steps, he's like, man, and I did. I did well in his classes, and I just remember how he just is like the sea parted, you know, for Coach Smith, and because I was always a pretty good math student, and then when I would run into some rough patches, I'm like, man, when I had Mr. Ocean, man, he was just a bomb. So if there's anything you can take from this, um, is, man, understand why you have to follow the technique in your position that you're playing in your sport. Why you got to take those certain steps. Why you got to follow this certain technique, right? And it's the same thing you want to do in the classroom so that you can be successful, right, and earn that scholarship. Okay. And like I said, there's some more things I'll get into when it comes to the transfer portal and the strategies and things that people need to understand about that and NIL, with all the great things happening in college sports. So I'm excited, for you guys. But I just wanted to come live, man. I appreciated my brother Javon, my niece's boyfriend. We got to play some golf. Um, I didn't know he was checking out me on live, so I'm giving you a shout out, Javon, my brother in Florence, South Carolina. I appreciate you checking me out and sharing it with some of the young kids that you know. So I want to give you a shout out and a holler, because you talked about it the other day about you hadn't seen me doing my lives lately, and so that's one reason why I'm on here. I just want to give an update about what Coach Smith has been busy doing with Love the Game 24/7. I'm at it, right? And I'm all about trying to make sure you guys, get some great content and some great information from Coach Smith. And like I said, I'm going to have some interviews coming as well. I got to get on some folks and make sure I get them plugged in, and get that stuff lined up coming into this latter part of the summer and into the fall, just to share their knowledge about what it takes to get those college athletic scholarships and how to become a better athlete in your sport. So those things are coming as well. So I appreciate you guys, man, joining me for these few minutes. I don't want to keep and hold you for long, but like I said, I just wanted to give you an update. And like I said, I'm going to have that free webinar coming up, and I'm going to give some more in-depth information that's going to come after that free webinar for those who want to sign up. But you're going to have to register for the free webinar as well, because I want to be sure, like I said, space is going to be limited, right? And I want to be sure you guys, get your spot, right? When I put it out there on the website, you better get registered and you better get your spot. You better hold your spot, all right? Because it's coming, and I'm going to lay it down on what's happening with Love the Game 24/7, and some things that I'm going to be offering, and also with getting my personal training things lined up, and some more news that's coming with me and what's going on. All right, guys. But man, y'all have a good rest of the weekend. Um, we got to pray for those folks, man, in Texas, with that flooding and everything. Same thing like what happened here in North Carolina. Man, my heart goes out, man. So let's make sure we pray and remember those folks, man. Remember those families, man, and just keep them lifted up as well, right? I just want to take time out and mention that. So just want to let those folks know out there, hey, we're praying for you for recovery, and even continue to pray for the folks in North Carolina and even in Florida back home when we had those hurricanes last year. So, but hey, guys, thanks for joining. Like I said, you hit that subscribe button, right? There to be sure you subscribe with Love the Game 24/7, and you hit that notification button and you share and invite folks and you like this video. I appreciate your time. So thank you for if you're watching this live. Thank you if you are watching the recording. I appreciate you guys, man. It's all love. And hey, have a great rest of your summer. Be safe, right? Be safe. Okay. But have a great weekend and the start of your week. And hey, let's get ready for um, getting your workouts done. But I'll be finishing up on Tuesday here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, with the summer football camp with offense defense this week. And like I said, it'd be my last football camp for the summer with offense defense. And then I'll be getting back to doing more content and things of that nature. All right. So y'all have a blessed night. Take care. Until next time, man. Hey, love the game 24/7, right? And go to my website, 247.com. Take it easy.